At the ADAC 2024 Sim Racing Expo, I finally had the chance to test AC EVO. So in the next couple of minutes, I'll try to explain all of my thoughts and everything I found while I was driving on, well, actually a couple of different sims. So let's begin. Built from the ground up with a brand new engine, it promises to deliver a unique blend of stunning visuals, dynamic weather and a user-friendly experience. But will it appeal to hardcore sim racers, or is it aiming for a wider audience? In the next couple of minutes, I'll share my impressions and let you know what I think. Right off the bat, AC EVO is running on a completely new game engine according to the devs, one designed specifically for racing. It's built from scratch to offer something definitely new. The game will feature a car ownership and collection system, allowing players to own their cars rather than just unlock them, adding a sense of progression. You will have access to the full mechanical tuning, cosmetic mods like spoilers and rims, and power output tweaks similar to the ones we see in Gran Turismo. For those who love free roam, the game will even offer a free roam mode, allowing you to drive on iconic roads around the world. It's not just about racing on the tracks, but also enjoying the cars in their element. We're also expecting to see proving grounds and drifting sections, with fully dynamic weather that changes as you drive, so rain, fog and even day-to-night transitions will be a part of the racing experience. One thing that we are waiting for is the confirmation of VR and triple monitor setups. While it's not yet confirmed, the devs said it's a top priority. So how do the cars feel on the track? I got to test 3 combinations: Porsche 911 at Imola, Alpine on Mount Panorama and Hyundai at Brent. Each of these tests gave me an idea on how AC EVO handles in different driving conditions. The cars feel responsive, but they are not overly difficult to drive. You can lose control if you're careless, but it's easier to catch the car when the things go sideways. This makes me think that AC EVO is aiming for a wider audience, much like Gran Turismo 7, rather than focusing on sim racing titles like iRacing or ACC. The cars feel alive, but with a layer of safety. So how does the Porsche 911 feels and looks like at Imola? Driving the Porsche 911 at Imola gave me a first-hand look at how stunning the lighting effects in AC EVO are. The day-to-night transition is smooth and adds an incredible level of immersion. It's not just a visual upgrade, the transition impacts on how you drive as the shadows lengthen and the visibility decreases. It makes the racing experience much more dynamic and less predictable, which is a huge plus if you ask me. Now let's talk about the driving feel. The Porsche 911 was surprisingly easy to control, especially when compared to kind of a more hardcore sim racing titles like iRacing. It's user-friendly in that sense, while it also has that realistic feel. It won't punish you for every slight mistake, but at the same time you still can lose the car. You can feel the car's weight shifting and the tires gripping the track, but if you push too hard and lose the grip, the car doesn't immediately spin out. You can catch the slide and recover. And I believe this is the sign that the game is designed to appeal to a wider audience. I have to clarify that I was still able to spin, so it's not impossible. While AC EVO may not have the exact physics of a pure simulator, it strikes a great balance between challenge and accessibility. This makes it an ideal game for casual players who want to experience the thrill of racing without that steep learning curve. But I still believe there is enough just to keep the more experienced drivers engaged, even if they're coming from kind of a more simulation-focused titles. If you ask me, I think it's a nice balance between challenge and accessibility, making it feel like the game is built both for casual players and, of course, for sim racing enthusiasts. And the next, it was rainy gameplay on Mount Panorama. So how does it feel when you're driving in the rain? Mount Panorama in the rain was hands down the most challenging experience. One of the standout moments came when I hit the curbs. As soon as the Alpine touched one of the wet curbs, the car spun out of control. This is where the game's physics really shined. Hitting wet surfaces like curbs or painted lines on the road punish you immediately, as it should in real life. This made the race feel less predictable and more engaging, as I had to focus more on smaller details on the track. From a driving perspective, the car's reaction to the rain felt realistic. The Alpine, a rear-wheel drive, was a bit of a handful, especially when trying to maintain speed on wet surfaces. I could feel the rear end trying to slide out on me, especially when I was hard on the power coming out of turns. The rain mechanics force you to adapt and adjust, especially when it comes to braking and cornering. The graphics here were top-notch. From the reflections on the wet track to the way that the raindrops affected visibility, everything looked very smooth and there were no noticeable frame drops. It felt fluid and immersive, exactly what you'd expect from a next-gen racing title. And what about the front-wheel drive cars? Next up, I tried the Hyundai at Brent's Hatch, which offered a different type of challenge. The car is front-wheel drive, so understeer was a constant factor, especially as the track was only partially wet. I had to be careful on the slippery patches, which felt less grippy, making corner exits, well, a lot more difficult and eventually more challenging. This was a fun test of the game's physics, just how it handles in different weather conditions on various parts of the track. The car itself was responsive, but the force feedback felt a little bit dampened. It didn't give me as much of the road feel as I maybe would have liked, especially compared to other sims. But the overall experience was solid, especially for a first impression of this very early build. Now let's talk about the core mechanisms, force feedback and the physics. The force feedback feels good, but it's slightly dampened compared to the games like iRacing, where the car feels more connected to the road. That said, it's still an improvement over ACC, offering a smoother and more refined experience. The physics are perhaps a bit on the stiff side, but once you get used to them, the game feels intuitive and fun. It's clear that the focus is on creating an enjoyable racing experience rather than replicating that 100% sim racing experience. AC EVO seems to be focused more to a wider audience, which might disappoint the hardcore sim racers, but should be a top title in the sim racing world. In conclusion, where does AC EVO stand? From my first impression, it seems like this title is going to focus more on gameplay and immersion rather than being a full-on simulation like iRacing. The visuals are stunning, the dynamic weather and day-to-night transitions are a game changer, and the cars feel responsive yet forgiving. It's a user-friendly racing game that will appeal to a wider audience, much like Gran Turismo. With the first release on Steam coming January 16 and the console versions a little bit later, I am definitely excited to see what this game is just about to be and how this game is going to evolve over the years. So in the end, let me know what do you think about it down in the comments. What do you think about the visuals, the physics and the customization options? And of course, if you like this video, please make sure that you hit the like button, or you might even want to subscribe to the channel. So once again, thank you very much for watching and bye.